discussion you would have with a client would be about the hierarchy of money. So you would open up and say, there's a concept that I'm pretty excited about sharing with you, and I want to talk to you that I think it's relevant to your situation. Okay, so that would be the hierarchy of money discussion. I'll just make a little symbol there. That's where you're going to open. You're just going to burn through the 4 levels and say, you've got essential dollars, just like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You've got essential expenses and foundational expenses: food, shelter, clothing, utilities. Above that, you've got discretionary expenses: entertainment, dining, recreation, travel, hobbies, those types of things. These 2 levels make up what most people think of as their retirement experience, and we want to make sure that that's well funded before we move on and talk about things above the line. Okay? Above that line, we would have things that you've always wanted to do and you haven't yet done. Or to put it a different way, things that you would regret not having done. These are the additional goals and things. And let's look at making sure that the dollars you've created can go to those purposes as well. Above that, at the top of that hierarchy, you'll see the legacy. Legacy dollars are those dollars that pass through the estate. You're never going to spend them. There's 2 types of people financially. There are those that are going to outlive their money. You don't want to be in that camp. There are those that their money is going to outlive them. And just by the nature of work that I do, that's who we end up talking with. And I think one of my obligations is that if you're going to be in that group that is going to have money that outlives you, I want to make sure that we transfer your values and principles to the people and organizations that you most care about in the most tax efficient way. Does that make sense? Okay. So we'll go through that. Okay. So that's one discussion. I've demonstrated that presentation a few times. Then let's go through and have a question. The question is, are you doing any charitable contributions? On a regular basis right now. Okay? And then you're going to open probe. And have you made any provisions to have that extend beyond your lifetime? Okay, you remember that discussion?
Yes.
Okay. So that's our next question. The next thing we're going to talk about is social capital. All right, that chart would be the IRA money, non-qualified, legacy, which we've already told them about, and how that goes to the heirs, that goes to the heirs, that goes to the heirs, and the IRS takes a bite. Okay, we've seen that. All right. Then we're going to talk about legacy planning. So the legacy planning strategy basically is IRAs going to their foundation. The IRS gets nothing. The non-qualified money goes to the heirs. Legacy dollars buys an insurance policy to replace. That is the wealth replacement strategy. All right? That. All right, so then you're going to have a question. Would you be interested in looking at the details on this? Would you be interested in looking to see if this works for you? Is this a concept worth exploring? Should we look to see if this makes sense in your situation? There's a lot of different ways to ask it. If you basically are wanting to get permission to have your attention, can we go forward? Is this worth looking at? Okay, however you want to ask that. When they say yes, there are some tools that you can use. 9 circles, Naviplan, a confident retirement tool. Right? So that's what we looked at. They're all going to get you the same result. Okay? It's just how detailed do you want to go? What do you feel more comfortable with? What confident retirement tool is dynamic and it worked? I think that's probably the best one to use. You can show the chart on Naviplan. We're going to have a WebEx training in a couple weeks. Jason, my assistant, is going to show you how to do those bar charts that I showed you about the current and proposed. They're really powerful, but he'll show you how to do those. 9 circles, you can use that tool or you can sketch it out.
What if we use something besides Naviplan? I've never even logged on to Naviplan.
Yeah, I mean,
do 60 plans.
Yeah, you can use whatever tool you're comfortable with that basically says, here's how much you've got, you're going to be okay. And so if you're using a tool that says, okay, they've got $1 million, gee, it looks like they're fine. What if you dropped it down to 900,000 and they're still fine? You drop it down to 800,000, they're still fine. Keep dropping till they're not fine anymore. The difference between the first illustration and the last illustration, that's their legacy dollars. Okay? So you wouldn't want to allocate more than half of that based on this strategy. So any tool you want to use, and sometimes you don't even have to use a tool. You know, in some of the cases we saw, their income exceeded their expenses, and they're 75 years old, and they've got plenty of money. Not going to run out of money. Okay, so we can use that strategy just to replace the IRAs. You say, here's how much you have in IRAs, let's just replace it. Simple as that, and you don't even need to go into the details. All right? So when you look at this, one of the details you would look at also, or have ready, would be the life insurance numbers. Okay? Confident Retirement Tool does that for you. Right? That's what I like about that, is that we just put in the number and says, oh, you put in 200,000, it buys 800,000 of death benefit. Good enough. We're just trying to get a rough idea. I wouldn't show this illustration at this point. Okay? Too far in the weeds, but you should know it already. Okay? It's like a good attorney is not going to ask a question of a witness that they don't already know the answer to. Right? So you don't want to say, hey, is it okay if we look at the numbers and see if they work? You do not want to come back to them and go, it didn't work. Sorry to take up your time. Right? So we're going to go through those. Then you're going to talk about the 4 criteria. All right. All right. So talk about the 4 criteria. Then we're going to look at another question, and that is your permission to get an inquiry. Okay? Can we take an inquiry? All right. That's the flow of the entire strategy that we started talking about yesterday. That's how you would take a client through. Okay? And that can all happen, and that's the first meeting. Okay? All the steps to the entire process are written out in here, and you've got a checklist. But that's what the first meeting looks like. Okay, so I put in the questions and how to ask those.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, any questions on that? Anything you want to hear from me as a demonstration before I turn you loose in pairs so that you can do it? Now, for the sake of our role plays, assume that you've got the CRT, the Confident Retirement Tool set up, and just say as we yeah. So I don't want you to waste time going through the Confident Retirement Tool again, because that's what we did earlier. So we're just going to roll with that and say, as you can see, you have X amount of legacy dollars, and you as the role player should go, oh, great, I agree, right? Because you've got the tools to show it.
Did you hear that?
it seems so easy when we are in a room like this, but what kind of objections do you get by that time, or do you get nothing really?
Well, you get some objections about control,
Okay.
okay? I'm not sure I want to give up control. Now, where are they giving up control? They're not. That means they misunderstood,
Okay.
okay? You said, well, now keep in mind that you're not transferring anything to the charities until the second death. You're not giving up any control, right? So that just means they misunderstood. Another question you might get, what if they change the tax laws?
And you're allowed to see it.
That will happen while you're alive, right? And we can adapt. Now, for the sake of our discussion, let's go through what tax laws could change, right? So let's say that they cause charities to pay taxes. They go to the Red Cross, they go, hey, if anybody gives you money, we're going to tax you. Now, this is unlikely, but we'll go through every scenario. Okay, what would you do? You could say, fair enough, I'm okay with that. I'm giving them my IRA, and I have wealth replacement for my kids. The strategy's still fine. They just get less than, I thought I was going to give them $1 million, I'm going to give them $700,000. Okay, strategy still works. What if they say insurance is no longer tax-free? Okay, we had $1 million going to the charity, replacing it with $1 million of life insurance, but that life insurance is now taxable. We'll just change the beneficiary designation and not give all of it to the charity. We'll give 80% to the charity to allow the kids to have money to pay the tax on the insurance.
Gotcha.
Or we just let it be taxable. I mean, anything that they come up with, you know, what if they say, well, you can't set up donor advised funds? Okay, it can go straight to the charity, I guess. Or it could be a foundation. I mean, you can't come up with a scenario of tax law change that screws this. I mean, because it's all testamentary. They say, well, you can't make your beneficiaries be a charity. That's illegal now. Oh, okay. Put it back to the kids.
Sure.
And we'll just not do this. Okay, I mean, okay, it was a nice idea that the government will let us do. I don't think any of those scenarios happen. But if they do, we
Having
can...
this in place is not going to impact it negatively in any way. I have to make adjustments on the beneficiaries in order to compensate for it.
Yeah, it's all adaptable. You don't lose any control. You control the beneficiary changes during your lifetime. Right? Are there any other objections you could think of that the client might ask?
One objection would be, is this legit? Like, what is a donor advised fund? That sounds creepy to me.
Okay, I've gotten versions of that question. All right, why isn't everybody doing this? Or, you know, why have we never talked about this before? You know, this sounds too good to be true. I mean, you'll get, they're all versions of the same question, which is, tell me more. And that's basically what they're saying is, I like it, but tell me this again, right? So is this, your base question was, is this legit, right? Yeah, everything we're doing, because here's the strategies. Taxable dollars, rather than give them to people who have to pay taxes, we're going to direct those taxable dollars to people that don't have to pay taxes. That's fair enough. And then all we're doing here is to say, we weren't trying to short our natural heirs. We're going to use some of their money that they were going to get to put it into an insurance policy to replace it. We're going to have a wealth replacement strategy. We've paired up those two simple strategies in this whole concept.
Have you ever had anyone ask you, well, that sounds good, but maybe I should have my CPA look this over?
You could. I think the CPA would be thrilled. In fact, I'd love to meet with the CPA and share this idea, because there may be other clients that he has or she has that could benefit from this. So I think it's a fantastic idea. Why don't we set that up? I'd be running ahead on that one. Right?
That's
That's the key
Let's
word.
call them now. Yeah, right.
That's the key word, why don't we as employers?
Oh,
Absolutely.
you want to be involved in
Yes,
that. Do
yes,
not
yes.
turn your client loose
Right, and let them.
and let your client explain this, because you've spent 2 days hearing about it. And my guess is you're not 100% comfortable explaining it.
Right, I mean, exactly, so you're, right, so you certainly